welcome to Critical Tumble, where a bunch of longtime friends and internet nerds transcend geography through the power of Discord to play Dungeons and Dragons, and in person wish a slightly belated birthday to Brian.
Thank you.
Well, it's we do on the birthdays, or as close to the birthdays as we can get when we run once every 2 weeks. But yeah, it's the thing with time zones.
Yeah.
Why is it that all the best RPers and best friends I have to live over there someplace? Or maybe more, why do I have to live here? But either way, you're all too far away and it's aggravating. And of course, there's also the fact that y'all are too far away in too many different states, a couple of different countries. Trying to explain where all my friends are to normal people, it doesn't really work very well.
Yeah, I feel that.
Just prop up a globe, spin it around, and then take 5 paces back and throw a dart at it. You'll probably hit someone.
Nah, to be fair, I don't have anybody who actually lives in, like, the Southern Hemisphere. And, and a lot of the Northern Hemisphere is Russia. So, I don't know anybody who still lives there that I'm aware of. Possibly, like, Ukraine or something, but I'm not really sure. No, I'd be hearing more about what's been going on if it was Ukraine. But sort of that Eastern European area anyway. Possibly Poland. I'm not really sure. That's the problem. All these people, they're all typing English, but I know that they're not English speaking, and I don't know where they're from. And it shouldn't matter, beyond the fact that I don't actually get to see them. Anyway, previously, on the subject of bouncing around the world, that's what these guys have done, are going to continue to do, and is part of a minor mission now. Previously they vaguely dealt with King Errands III. I mean, they, at the very least, outed him as an ancient black dragon plus a bit. Nobody was really sure what the plus a bit was when he was alive. They didn't really care. They just really hated him and wanted him dead. Which happened. And then he got back up. Icked invading armies and flew north, apparently. None of this ended particularly well for anybody. Hazel's biological mother, Lady Amavela, the real one, not the bitch, was killed in a slightly unfortunate combat-related oopsie. Combat-related, or maybe more combat-adjacent. But, yeah. Anyway, at least Soul was not tainted when Ianthe, half handbag bitch, punted her corpse into the river of muck that had basically taken over the castle when Errands III slammed out of it, and got crushed even more when an unfortunate leaning against a not very solid wall. Oopsie. But at the very least, the place is no longer made of ick, and they have found out exactly what some of those radiant bombs that the quick flight diminutives used to make will actually do to a wellspring. And it cleans up seriously well, which is a good thing. But between them, they decided that this is technically Errands III dealt with, and trying to sort out the situation with the Protector Aasimar that survived the last purge being helicopter-parented / protective custody by the other non-fallen Aasimar over in Anbir. does need to be dealt with. So that's going to be come the morning. The plan for that involves Alice having gone ahead to infiltrate, however she's going to infiltrate, the whatever town section of city, whatever the Protector Aasimar have. Talk to some people, try to figure out where they are mood-wise, and inspire them to maybe want out instead of listening to whatever horror stories they must be hearing. And let you guys, and first speak to Heskan, the gold dragonborn cleric artificer. Nobody's really entirely sure, but devotee of Paylor anyway, over in Egrev, to get any further information about where they are, what the situation is as far as he knows, etc. And then go and basically petition for, you've got one of ours. We need her to save the world, and frankly, kind of need everybody else. So can we just check and make sure that they're not actually wanting to leave? And sort things out from there. It's a vague-ish plan, but it's what you guys have got. But that's for morning. Evening brought its own various bits and pieces. When Alice agreed to play prisoner infiltration, there were a couple of things she asked for. One was letting Hazel commune with her mother's thankfully uncorrupted soul, and letting Henry experience, well, what bits of Henry's incredibly damaged soul remain, experience, life, the world, and incidentally being Clarity's foster brother again. So maybe that will help piece him back together. It will take time, but it's what's happening now. So at the very least, some of these things are better than they were when they were left. So yes, Hazel is now having a monthly chat date with her mother's soul. And again, yes, she wakes up kind of crowded into the bed with everybody's favorite plushie. Everybody's.
Oh my.
I love those kids.
Well, they have their thing. They were welcomed here, and they pay it forward, back, and sideways. But yeah, Hazel is largely waking up to a crowd of plushies and the smell of, yes, they've made pancakes and waffles because that was the request.
Trying to figure out how to extract myself without causing a plushalanche.
Yeah, this is gonna take a dex check.
That's a lot of plushies.
Roll for plushie.
Goofy variety dex check is go. Wait, just dex or
Just dex.
not my potentially worse acrobatics?
Nah.
Oh boy.
Yep, nope.
You try to wiggle, and somehow what ends up is you on the floor, plushies poof on top of you, and then the duvet on top of all of that. Woof.
Someone needs to draw that.
There's a lot of things
Muffled.
about what happens in this group that someone needs to draw. I
Very
just
true.
don't.
Very true.
Muffled McSquawk.
Yeah, there's giggling, but people are kind of leaving you to sort that out because it's funny and it's cute and it might be helpful. They don't know. Then
Yeah,
you
this
see
is gonna
sort of
take a while.
little hazel hand pop out from under plushy penguin, plushy squirrel, owlie is
Yeah.
somewhere in the mix.
Pat, 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 pat.
Yep. Eventually, I'm pretty sure Hazel will manage to readjust the bed to her own liking. Um, and once finally, up, more or less dressed, it's Skylar sort of going, "Why don't you go get everybody? Because breakfast is nearly ready."
Can do.
And heads off and starts helping put together the cornucopia of food on this table because, they know that some of y'all are bottomless pits. They have been feeding teenagers for a very long time. And even though the biggest of the bottomless pit isn't a teenager, they're still used to the appetite.
Actually proceeding at a normal pace for once.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, Rylan is probably awake by this point because Rylan's only transing, so your own room with little ragdoll paladin of Bahamut, or in the front room.
I'd end up in the front room, give the others the space.
You've each got your own rooms.
Oh, right, yes. My brain forgot the layout for a second.
No, that's fine. But I'll stick with the front room because you've called that now, and it makes a certain amount of sense because that's where the fire is, and you've been up for like 4 hours, so you probably want a cup of tea or something, and
Yes.
that's where everything is. So you come in, and there's Rylan, probably with the little ragdoll and a cup of tea.
There is breakfast. I'm gonna get everybody else.
Get ready to go then. Breakfast it'll be.
Just gonna loop through everyone else's space in a knock knock to wake up, starting with Remy, then Darvin, and then going down the list, and then ending with Clarity.
Okay. Oh, I mean, she can still just sort of. I mean, she knows which doors are which. It doesn't really matter what order they're in along the corridor. She can knock on whatever room she wants to. So yeah, Ava, Remy, Barnabas. Since they're the only ones here, we'll leave it at that. Although, from Darvin's room, because it's Darvin's room, you get Oh, jeez. Thank you.
Just amused chuckle. Food time is yes.
Double thank you. Okay, what is everybody else's response to Hazel having restraint?
Feeling right? You're oddly calm.
Yeah, well, that happens.
I'm sure it does. It's just so rare.
The explanation would take a lot. So I figure y'all just enjoy it.
I mean, to be fair, Remy, I mean, she's got her full 8 hours, but I can't imagine but that you get used to being snuggled. So, it's kind of had the full 8 hours, but still didn't sleep great. You always think when you share a bed that you would finally get a good night's sleep if you could just, move your arm in a way that you can't when you're sharing with somebody or somebody's not stealing the covers or, in Alice's case, extra layer of warmth because wing. But no, you actually get used to that shit.
No, yeah. That's rough.
So yeah, restrained Hazel, knock, knock, knock.
Coming.
And Barnabas, restrained Hazel, knock, knock, knock.
Unfortunately, Barnabas is only mobile in the fact that he smells food and is not processing anything yet.
Why
so,
would he smell food when the food is cooking in the other house?
Bit
Oh,
dog.
that's right. So, no, that he is. I'm awake. What?
There's food and probably coffee. You just have to
Yeah.
make it from here to the main house.
It'll be a minute.
Okay.
And then
Once
finally,
I get to clarity, in addition to the knock, I'm actually going to come in and just boop on nose.
All she sees is just like a little bit of blue hair and horns coming out of the covers.
yeah, so
And
booping
then
the
there-
nose is going to be hard.
And then there's pillows around her, like stuck up against her. And then there's like dents where there used to be like animals, but they're gone from the dawn.
Well, somebody has a cure for being used to snuggling.
Just sort of tug open. Morning.
It's you. Hey.
Boop. Thump.
Okay,
You've
I
got
know what
company there now.
okay. I was about
Company
to
in the
ask what the
pile.
foomp was.
Clarity gives her a big hug and just says, "I missed you."
Yeah. Me too. Me too.
Do you have a good haul?
I'm not sure how to describe it.
Doesn't sound like a
What?
thing that, you words. What the hell?
Yeah, words kind of stop working after a certain point.
Yeah.
So, breakfast?
Yeah, I will mosey my way out of bed and to the other house.
Better plan. I'm carrying you. After a
Oh.
bit of basically after making sure Clarity is actually wearing like normal clothing, basically just piggyback carrying her up to the house.
Okay, how does Clarity sleep as far as that goes? Are there night clothes or
Yeah, she wears like loose clothing.
okay? Yeah,
Pajamas.
so yeah, I figure because it's Barnabas who's doing the struggling to be up, and now I feel really bad for you guys because normally Alice brews y'all coffee to get you to the other house, but not here to do it now.
Yeah,
So
the
it's
only person getting the free ride to the house is Clarity.
yeah, but because everybody else was kind of more awake, it's probably only Barnabas who gets to see the piggybacking of Clarity, probably plus Duvet because it's still winter, so it's cold out there. So rather than have to drop her to put on, shoes, coat, etc., just bundle up Duvet and all, and so she looks like that little I don't know, flea market gnome in the labyrinth.
Barnabas sort of like he's already on the struggle bus for getting over there, and he's like, no coffee, then think, yeah."
Barnabas's error.
Well, Barnabas's int 4 is coffee powered. Did we not realize this? Coffee and sugar.
Mm-hmm.
His int 4 is a lot like my int 4. The expression on his face. Tell me I'm wrong. You've known me longer than most of these people.
Oh no, you're at 100% correct.
Eventually, y'all get to Hearthhome proper, and Yeah, it's the buffet breakfast of buffet breakfasts. There's the various different kinds of pancakes. There's waffles, a couple of kinds of waffles too. Um, bacon, various kinds of sausages, fruit. I mean, okay, some of it's dried fruit because it is the middle of winter, but toast. Oatmeal just in case anybody is just wanting oatmeal. And the various condiments. It's one of those things where you've kind of had to squeeze the people's individual plates on.
Glory to the power of cake pans.
Yes, and Twilly is from left to right as you're approaching from the door. You have regular pancakes, you have chocolate chip pancakes, you have blueberry pancakes, you have regular waffles, you have chocolate chip waffles, you've got venison sausage, you've got beef sausage, you've got pork sausage, and you have bacon, and you can see the fruit and the porridge for yourselves. Uh, strawberry, raspberry, blueberry, and maple syrups. Dig in.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And Twilly, when she's adding another couple of chocolate chip waffles to the pile, also puts a mug that's, I mean, it's about the size of her head because halfling of coffee. Yeah, 'cause for Barnabas, it's a normal size mug.
Thank you. I needed that.
Yes,
Better, Barnabas?
yes, dear. We have figured that smaller mug goes in front of Clarity. I knew for those ones, but for the rest of you, coffee, tea,
She'll be fine.
Coffee.
Tea as well.
Yeah, let's go with tea because me plus coffee means I start bouncing off of walls.
Farida is coffee, but with a lot of cream and sugar, please. Aw, look at our little scholar all grown up. Getting this look like, well, yeah, but. And Darvin is just tea, please.
If I'm near enough to Faraday, I'll lean in like, don't worry, I don't like coffee either.
Oh no, I like it. I'm just getting used to it.
Fair enough.
I mean, I have sorcery, I have lightning, and I don't want to go caffeine hyper hazel when I can do that.
Fair point.
Everything looks perfectly cooked. I don't want to zap it crispy fried, you know?
Fair enough.
So, yeah, you get your various beverages and food. So much food.
Clarity's taking any sort of blue food.
Well, there's definitely the blueberry pancakes. I don't think anything else is technically blue. There is a bluish tinged bowl. Well, there's a bowl of bluish tinged little roundish things, and Twilly is those are dried blueberries covered in blueberry yogurt.
She puts that on top of also a waffle.
And of course, all the bits roll into little holes. And of course, you've got blueberry syrup for your pancakes and waffles. So very much blue food, all the blue food.
Blue all the way down. Dabba dee, dabba die.
Thank you for doing it because my brain was doing it as well.
I have very different song associations with that, but I don't expect anybody to know a perfect circle. So anyway, yes. So any bits, conversations, things talking about over breakfast, and apart from Twilly being, so how did everyone sleep?
Okay.
But seems like everyone slept pretty well. I wouldn't be one to assume with everyone else, but I certainly did.
Yeah, every single one of the kids is just kind of, when Hazel says that, just that little innocent look.
I may or may not have woken up in a pile.
Well, and Evan is like, I looked, and there was There was a wolf and a panther and a badger. So you had to have Snugglies too. Yes, Norman came back. I have decided Norman is just always going to be there now. It's
It's
official.
just a universal truth of that bag.
Yeah, that many rolls, it's bag of Norman.
Norman and others.
Norman and friends.
Norman.
I have
So that's a new item now.
Norman and Fur End.
Ah.
I know, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Oh god, the pod!
Anyway. That's the thing. I think Rylan has seen Shield of Norman, and I'm not sure if has met Norman. Probably doesn't understand the concept of Norman. It's just Clarity has this thing with badgers, and you don't know why.
It's somewhere on the list. We'll get to it eventually.
You'll get a direct Norman encounter one of these days.
And Skylar just, you should tell him about Norman. It's funny.
You want to meet Norman and potentially others?
Is Norman responsible for your inclination to badgers?
Norman is a badger. He's
So yes. That's a yes.
Magical badger. I'm gonna pop out 3 fuzzy things.
Stop re-rolling. Yeah, that's a 1, a 2, and a Norman.
We've met Wendell. So there's a weasel, Norman, and what was the other one?
It was 1, 2, and 3. So.
Oh, okay. So giant rat, Gwendolyn, and badger.
Yes, you have rodents and badger. Well, mustelid, rodent, and badger, which I think is sort of somewhere in between. It's that whole phylum today.
Big. So 2 things that are large, so rat and badger, and then
because giant rat, sort of. Not quite
rat
rouse.
The size of a small dog.
So it's corgi-sized rat, not really dire rat.
Seen rats that size? Probably not.
No.
We don't get Gwendolyn much either.
Confused now.
It's a very big rat.
So, bag of tricks was obtained, and somewhere along the line, Norman kept happening, and I think it just kind of twisted the essence of the object into a Norman generator.
Skylar, she named all of the animals that come out of the bag.
Every single one.
I'm not surprised.
She's carrying Norman like a baby.
Yeah, just glad. Just be glad I'm going with the kind of badger you know, and not European badgers, because European badgers are assholes.
Remy will look to Twilly and Miranda. Baron Langerhand's still in Goldendale, right?
Yes, he's he's fairly well guarded in his manor at the moment, and I suppose you probably had things to tell him.
Yes, we do. We should probably do that before Agrif.
Yeah.
And Skylar's just, I thought you were going to Anbir.
That's on the list.
I think it's because we have to go to Agrif to get to Anbir.
We have a friend in Agrif who's very knowledgeable about what's going on in Anbir, so we need to check in with him first.
I actually have a question for you all, which I don't think any of you have actually. I mean, you haven't brought this up to us even when we were reading through your notes. You're going to be going after more well springs, aren't you? This from Miranda, who obviously, yeah, the kids, because the table is so crowded, have kind of taken their plates and gone other places. So, I mean, except for
Yeah.
Skylar, who, when Miranda gives her the look, okay, I'm going.
I can imagine that's the plan, yes.
So you're going to need more of those.
More than likely.
Oh, that's going to be interesting. And Tully's like, I'll prepare something. Don't worry about it. They've got other various bits and pieces to do. I need to check on a thing because that might make my life a whole lot easier.
So long as that's, a possibility that doesn't scramble any other plans.
Yeah, you've got Faraday going, I'd offer, but I can only teleport once a day, and that would be me kind of bouncing from there one day to there one day, and then back here the other day, and then I'd have to try to get a decent lock on you guys. I guess it depends on how long you're gonna have to stay in Egref, because I could teleport to Egref without a problem, but that'd be in like 2 days.
I mean, there's also pulling the my pendant out with the key.
And Twilly's
Like
like,
at the
no.
moment, it's currently
Doesn't
only
that
got the
last?
key because a certain kid took off with
And
the actual Halo symbol.
Twilly's like, no, actually, darling, there isn't. That only works for you.
That's just me.
It's,
Well,
I made it for you.
And also, doesn't it last like very short amount of time?
Well,
what I mean is, I could open door, and would I be able to toss Meredith through it?
I mean, you would, but you'd have to go with her, and if all of this is Palor and associated beings, don't you want to be there?
Yeah, fair point. I guess that puts that one kind of that possibility off to the side.
And Darwin is, well, I mean, I can cast a couple of teleportation circles, and you guys are going to be using those. So we could do the passing messages thing, and I've taken all of Remy's notes and glyphs for teleportation circles, and I guess there's at least a public one in Anbir in there. I think I remember. But I mean, between us, we could ferry around. I mean, you don't know whether you're going to be able to get an immediate audience with Heskan anyway. So
Kind of figured we'd be spending a day and a night in Egref.
well, that works then, because I know you're probably going to want to hurry things along. I get it, but if that's the case, then I can get her to Belarus. She can teleport back and go from there, I guess.
Try that.
'Cause, I mean, I don't know how long it's going to take to get your dwarven friend together, but that's probably going to take some time if and of course we don't know when exactly one's going to be needed or how many you're eventually going to end up needing. We might need him to take more than a day trip this time. Well, if you're heading in the general direction of Goldendale Town, which you have to go through there for the manor, so you must be. Possibly let Lyra and Jenna know that we'll be having further company, and Jenna will probably have workshop company. Oh, she's going to
Can
love
do.
that. Anyway, eat up. Miranda's don't mind her. She's very much in comfort food mode. It works. Currently, Flitty is attempting to make reasonable work of a blueberry pancake by, much like with flatbread, etc., just sort of rolling himself up in it and nymph, nymph, nymph.
Do you want me to cut up in smaller pieces for you, Flitty?
No, this is fun.
Okay.
I think some of you haven't actually seen this. This is just
Has
Flitty being
Shannara had
ridiculous.
breakfast yet? Well, breakfast for given value of someone who operates at night.
I honestly don't know. I mean, we've been preparing things for quite some while, and she hasn't exactly retired yet, I don't think, 'cause it's still not quite light outside yet, but mostly we just leave things and she yoinks them. It's kind of like feeding a very, very shy feral cat. Speaking of, Clarity ends up with weight on lap. Woof. Nope.
No.
Ooh,
Ow.
bacon.
Yeah.
Behold a noob.
Bacon and scritchings, that is what the
Mhm.
large, fluffy, yellow monstrosity wants.
Is this one of the ones who looks like he got smacked in the face with a
Not quite.
an iron?
This is more Maine Coon.
Oh, good God, that's big.
That's the
A
thing.
lot of cat.
That's the thing. This one started as the runt of the litter, but because of that was a house pet rather than just helping clear out the mice and rats in the barns. So
Like a balloon.
reached his full potential. Not fat, just big and fluffy.
And somehow orange.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
Despite the fact that Maine Coons are usually brown. This is just this luminescent, fuzzy thing.
yep. As our peers up to look at y'all. Wow. Purr.
Happy Clarity.
Yeah, happy Clarity, happy Noob. And while getting scritches and bacon isn't glaring at the rest of you. Just one of these cats that has very few favorites, and those favorites are the only ones who ever get the attention that is, not, I want you dead. Currently, it's Clarity and Hazel for the Cupcake Coterie that have that level of. Everybody else gets. Yeah. Which of you would be best for food if the humans and the humanoids stopped feeding me? Mostly
The
focusing
Maine
on
Coon judgment stare.
mostly focusing on Rylan because appears less covered in fur, leather, metal. So occasionally you do get a speculative look from this large orange thing. That little this one's definitely food nod, and then goes back to being petted.
You seem to have been judged.
I don't know if I like being judged by things that cannot talk back to me.
Well, theoretically, we could get at least a translated version to talk back to you, but I can pretty much tell you what that said. If the people with thumbs stop feeding me your food first,
Ah.
Welcome to cat.
it's only because you don't wear armor and you don't have fur.
That is entirely fair.
Flitty from
It's
from
just
somewhere inside the pancake. It's okay. Nope doesn't know about the big shadow dog.
exactly.
You don't speak Draconic, do you?
Yeah, but Flitty speaks Sylvan.
Oh, right, sorry.
It's so yeah. Hazel
Fairy
heard that,
dragon.
yeah, and Darvin is just
Yeah.
yeah. Clarity has that expression.
What did you say?
And I can also understand Sylvan.
Yes.
So I'm just going,
Shadow pork.
nope, you're ridiculous. And I'm just I'm just going to give him scriptures. It's like, you ridiculous fuzzball.
Ow. Yes, that is you are last up against the wall when the revolution comes.
I want to keep an eye out for if I can detect Shinaira creeping in.
Give me a perception check.
Yeah, I'm at the nat 20 this. Oh. That's just a 15.
Yeah, no, and given everybody else's passive perception, it's literally probably only Miranda who notices exactly why that stack of pancakes seems slightly shorter, and a couple of the sausages are missing, and some of the fruit is gone. It's like Rylan reaching for an apple that was there a minute ago, and wait, no, now I have a pear. There was an apple there a second ago.
It's a pear, Rylan. Just eat the thing.
Yeah, you've had pears before. It's just
I was just expecting a different fruit in my hand.
Miranda just turns around to Hazel. The answer to your question earlier about Shinaira, the answer is now yes.
Got it.
Some people can move very stealthily and remove things without anyone noticing. Almost anyone noticing.
Apparently.
I'm sure Clarity knows that trick well enough.
My favorite expression, that one.
I'm more concerned about Ryland's expression.
The expression is just I'm just
Clarities, rather.
different fruit.
Yes, I'm aware of that. It's just the bewilderment.
Or the bewilderment of picking up one thing, expecting one thing, and then biting into an entirely different thing.
Well, you probably were reaching for an apple, but she got it first.
They sure did.
And you look back down at your plate, you'll find the apple is sitting probably on top of the remains of your pancakes. Apparently somebody felt bad about taking your fruit.
I suppose there's some karmic gifts in this universe.
Apples?
Right.
Apples are common now.
Look, these people named themselves after a sugar delight. There might as well be karmic fruit or something. Only fair.
I'm trying to decide whether or not that's judgmental. Was that judgmental?
It probably isn't. It just sounds like that because he elf.
I think it's less that elf and more a very different society.
Probably
Clarity's gonna move Ryland's tea from one side of the table to the other.
Okay, give me a sleight of hand check. What is Ryland's passive perception specifically?
16.
Okay. Yes, you got some of the highest passive perception ever. Just
Wow.
made
Yeah.
it. Just made it.
Teleporting tea.
So yeah, you reach for your cup of tea and it's not there and it's at the other side now.
Now I feel like I'm just being fucked with.
And quietly from probably one of the squishier armchairs, Skylar is just, you said a swear. Ah, nuts. Well, they didn't talk about anything too dreadful. You just know that there's going to be house guests. We were running out of space. It's fine.
I did also think you were in another room, to be fair.
Yes, I know, and I shouldn't have given myself away, but it's just funny to listen to you say a swear.
Just grabs my tea from the other end of the table.
It's kind of like Ava saying a swear, except more so because I guess bewilderment is a very different thing than noble.
Famous face. Look at that.
Well, nobles
Now,
get
that's a portrait
education.
right there.
Nobles get education, so they have a lot better words.
That's true.
And Branda's just, yes. On the other hand, even the best educated individuals can. Sometimes all it means is that they can make proper use of those swears. Where do you think Hazel learned most of hers? Did both Twilly and Hazel. Are just...
Well, yeah.
So,
Given that Shinaira's just kind of come in, then yoinked a bunch of stuff, that indicates that I guess checking in is not as needed as I thought it might be.
well, I mean, if she's got food, she's probably down in the basement now.
Yeah.
So it's up to you whether
So
you
I'm
do
going
that.
to, given a moment, go down there just at least to say hello.
Yeah, you get most of the way down the stairs and get. You all seemed busy.
A little bit. But busy has kind of been not too different from a giant snowball rolling down a hill. We just keep getting busy in increasing amounts.
Snowball? Is that the when you cram snow into little chunks and throw them at each other? Because I didn't
It's
understand
definitely
that.
one way to go about it.
Well, remember I lived underground. Do you think it snows there?
Mm-hmm. No, just I figured you may have seen at least a little bit of that, given
Well, I watched you all
you've
have
been
that.
here.
I watched you all have that fight.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You're missing somebody.
Yeah, Alice did an Alice,
What?
and that she arranged to go to Anbir essentially ahead of us to, I guess, find out what the situation is in the, I'm not sure if it's a camp or a prison or what, full of Protector Aasimar. And basically to start prodding at them in a way that says maybe you guys want to leave, and also to act as our in. So we can turn up, say, hey, you yoinked one of ours.
Okay. Just be careful. I figure that if they're managing to keep a whole people, they've got ways of making that be a thing. Especially when those people can fly a bit.
Yeah.
Then again, she can fly a lot, so.
All in all, our general plan is to go talk to our actual Baron. Probably mention the various things we tripped over in formerly Iron Crown, now Black Crown, now Hole in the Ground.
Okay.
And from there, well, somewhere along the lines of doing that, I am gonna talk to Jen and Lyra about more things to make more holes in the ground where well springs turn up.
I understood about half of that, and I wonder why I need to know any of this.
I don't know, it just feels like I should tell you. Because you might figure something or think on a thing while I'm rambling. Because you've done it before.
No, that's fair. Where are you going to take the hole in the ground machine?
That's probably to another place that needs to be turned into a hole in the ground. Another place full of the black, nasty.
So north or south? Or maybe west?
That north, south, or west.
Well, west is where all the elven wild is.
Yeah, north is that one we definitely know about. There's a ancient green camped out on top of it, from as far as we can guess.
And south is a whole country that worships it.
Yep.
Well, not
What's
the.
west though?
That's. Elven wild is west. South is.
West, right?
North is
And then
Cragvere.
north is the place they first started digging.
And Cragvere. And the Silver
And
Dragonborn's
Cragmere.
home.
Yep.
Well, where do you think a lot of this stuff comes from on this continent?
Probably the Elven Wild end of things. Well, that's the second one. That's the one on this side. The main place would be the one north, right?
Well, because I need a logic person. You're not a logic person.
No, I'm not.
At which point, Sai stands up, hood over, upstairs. Eep. Barnabas,
Yes.
I'd very much rather not be out in the light. So could you come down here, please? I need a logic person.
Okay.
Back down the stairs. Poof
All right.
in chair.
How can I help?
Thank you. I'm just giving Shara the
I
whole
thought
thumbs
you
up
I
thing.
thought you were going to ask when I said logic person because fairly you know
I
who
was
the logic
about
people are.
to, but you kind of beat me to the punch.
You're a little slow on the uptake as far as that goes. Sorry. Talking about hole in the ground machines.
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't even seem to understand that up north is Cragvere, which is a whole bunch of mountains. And those mountains turn into other mountains. Well, sort of mountains, more cliff, plateau thing. She doesn't seem
Right.
to get that if it started in bit of mountain, it just spread down the bits of mountain. How do you think the black got to Black Crown to turn it into Black Crown?
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense.
Went through the mountain.
Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
mountains are stuck to the ground. That's the whole point of mountains. They're just ground that goes up. So, root structures. I mean, I think places like here have protection as long as you don't do horrible things to the hearts. And the Elven Wild probably has its own protections unless somebody lets them in.
The logical place is up the giant rock tree. You called it a root system.
No, I didn't. I said that the Elven Wild is made of root system, which is in the ground.
Okay,
And unless
sorry, I
something's...
heard root system and
Okay.
brain blender happened.
Mr. Logic Man, please help.
Seconded.
All right, so I'm still trying to figure out why I was called here. It makes sense that if we're trying to track these things, going to the mountains would be the best idea. And you mentioned like making hole machines. Are you talking about the bomb?
She just said things that made holes in the ground, expecting I would know what that meant.
No, okay.
That was me saying it in the simplest way I could think of.
Right, no,
because I'm not logicking correctly.
So what is the hole in the ground machine?
It's it's a wholly explosive device.
I know about things blowing up.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
You assumed. So you came down here thinking that I might have some great insight, and you didn't think I was intelligent?
You're you.
Help.
I came here figuring you'd see the logic holes in my logic, because my logic isn't logic.
But you see, I
can
only make logic chains when I have the pieces of logic in front of me.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to make sense, but I'm clearly not.
Okay, as far as I can tell, with help from Mr. Logic Man. Officer Logic Man?
Either or.
You're trying to find the spot where you could do the most damage to the black sludge with the least amount of running around everywhere.
Yes.
That. Thank you.
So you'd probably want to go to the first place that anybody has ever heard anybody say anything about this stuff, at least on this continent, because we don't know what's happening on the south end.
Mm-hmm.
The south end is a whole other thing. I can tell you from personal experience and not leaps of logic because I'm me, that this is coming from mountains and underground, around about the mountain bit. Because if you can get a whole bunch of people that live underground, you have an army.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the underground living people on this continent have consolidated in the north. My clan ran from that quite some time ago. And then it followed us, but never mind. So if you want a where to next clue, that's probably it. Unless you want to kill the ancient green first so that she doesn't land on your head, but she might land on your head anyway, because you seem to have a problem where the dragons you're killing aren't staying dead.
Yeah. You overheard that? Yep.
Well, kind of. But, I heard something about a blue?
The blue, I think, wasn't that the... I'm thinking back. That was the Dracolich.
No, that was the one that was keeping the resupply for the...
that blue. Because I remembered a blue Dracolich as well.
Yep. But you also will remember probably that the blue Dracolich took the corpse of the red that Alice killed.
And decided to use that as its body puppet.
Yep. Well, you don't have to worry about the blue you killed because the blue you killed is in pieces. You have to worry about the blue you killed's mate.
Oh,
Wasn't there
figures there was another one.
wasn't there well, there had to be another one because there was something about her kids. I'm pretty sure
Yep.
you need 2 dragons for there to be more dragons.
Also, yep.
So there's probably still a blue out there. And I don't know whether the ancient green is more dangerous now or when she dies for the first time. And I don't know if her mate is still around because she'd have to have one if you killed her offspring. But her offspring was older. So there's a whole lot of questions you haven't asked yet. Is the main thing I can tell you.
Thank you.
And the red was wonky. So
Yeah, he was bigger than he was supposed to be.
Yep. So there might be either there's another red or they didn't have an old enough red so they improvised. And I don't think that with this much time to plan they would bother with improvising.
Got it.
So there's stuff. It just again I don't know
Thank you
which
again.
I just don't know which one you need to deal with first. Cuz they're gonna keep coming back. At least the first time, and then what makes them is going elsewhere the second time. And you probably don't want that, but there might not be a way around it.
Mm.
This one might actually require some of your... You remember you ran around all over the place looking for pieces for a very specific dragon slaying weapon?
Mm-hmm.
Which, at least the last time, didn't function quite as intended?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it takes Hazel a minute, but she does think, wait a minute, that's right. Remy is...
Yeah, he wasn't exploding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it when Remy was hit, and then it wasn't just... Yeah, there wasn't kaboom.
Well, that one needs to wake up a bit more for a start. And at this point, it's entirely possible that you might have to take Bahamut's role a little bit. Basically, there's 2 ways to handle this. I don't know. They're in the middle of something. That's pretty obvious from even what bits I've picked up. They're in the middle of something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if disrupting it will end the problem. Because they can just keep trying again and again and again. Obviously, you're going to need to make the black gunk stop on this continent. What's happening in the south is really not something you guys can think about right now. I'm sorry, I'm not particularly good at people, but I'm trying my best here. It's entirely possible that you are going to wind up in a situation where you have to get Tiamat before she can entirely manifest, and shove her back where she belongs, or where Bahamut shoved her.
Back in the hole, huh?
Well, at least the hole is kind of, well, not entirely open, but more permeable than it was the first time.
We'll do our best.
This is something you're going to have to look into from somebody who isn't only me half the time.
Yeah.
But these are things that I don't think anybody was thinking about, so if that's the kind of portent you're asking about, that's what I've got.
Funny enough, this is exactly the thing I was hoping for. You are, as usual, freaking awesome. Thank you again for, well, everything you've been doing here.
That's okay. My breakfast is getting cold.
Get out of your way.
And tell the Shadow Man I'm sorry about his apple.
I will.
Disappears into shadows of her own.
Just gonna nudge Barnabas and head back up.
Barnabas just follows right behind him.
This is why I'm glad she's here. Because she can actually make sense out of a lot of our nonsense.
But
And she's just been kind of awesome.
But apparently still needs a translator now and again.
Such is.
So yeah, you guys come back up through the kitchen, and yeah, there's everybody polishing off the last bits of breakfast, and Flitty has finished up the last of his sleeping bag pancake, and just sort of, that was a lot of pancake. Kind of upside down at Hazel. You guys have face.
Yeah, we'll explain in a second.
Jarvan is looking at you guys like, maybe when we're heading in the direction of town.
Yeah.
Get moving.
Will you be heading out from the manor, or will you be coming back through first?
I think we should see Langerhand first.
Well, no, that's not what I meant, because that probably isn't going to take the entirety of the day. I just wondered if you were going to come back to Hearthhome before you headed to Egref after the various chores. Because you are delivering messages to Lyra and Jenna, and we'd probably appreciate a reply. But
Yeah, we can probably.
And I'm probably well, considering a certain someone has my usual.
And yeah, Oscar actually pat scream. Sorry, I slept in. Ooh, breakfast. Roman, and a little bit larger than the than your usual Palor pendant, but that's largely to accommodate the little glass half globe that has has that flower still faintly glowing in it.
And then take it, squeak.
Air, help!
Let him breathe, Hazel.
Within a sensible amount of like restraint, let go.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Great handiwork, Oscar.
Well, when I get extended bedtime, I make it count. Also, Xana's trying to design vestments that kind of have those flowers like, embroidered on the hem and the bits and pieces. That's gonna take her some time because a lot of little stitches.
It's adorable.
I'm going to tell her thank you myself at some point, but could you also tell her that I'm saying thank you?
Uh-huh.
Some little fist bump.
And it's kind of sidling towards the breakfast table because it has been working basically this whole time. So it's sort of
Get food into you now.
basically makes a sandwich out of waffles and bits of bacon and it kind of pours on maple syrup like you would ketchup and then just walks away yarmf.
And I thought Cap's choice of food was sometimes weird.
I don't see what's weird about it. He got that from Twilly. It's an agref thing. If you have projects that you're in the middle of working on, you want something that you can eat one-handed while you're still flipping through, making notes, etc., etc., etc. You don't want to interrupt the innovation.
It's like those sandwiches we got at the train station.
Oh my god, you're right. It is exactly like those things.
Flitty is just, I've seen the cookbooks. That one with the flatbread and the spicy bits. Almost everything in Eggref that's not fancy dinners is made for having just the one utensil so that you can keep working. Didn't you notice that?
I'm just
No, it's
thinking
Sylvan
on
for
that
it's Sylvan
now
for
because
Hazel.
when you put that into the world.
I am observant.
Oh, dear gods, that is exactly the case. Everything in Agraf, if it's not crazy spread, it's something meant for just one handing in some fashion.
And Darwin is like those
And I mean everything.
like those burger things.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, unless you get one of the really, really big ones, and even then, I'm pretty sure Barnabas could have one-handed it if he'd really been trying.
That is amazing. That is hilarious. Oh boy. Well, we have a plan of action for the day now. We have food in us, and I glow.
Only faintly. It won't mess with your stealth or anything. What little stealth you actually have, but
I am not sneaky.
no, but you're more sneaky than this one. The one that's entirely in the tin can.
The one that
Barnabas is
actively
not.
rattles, yes.
Barnabas is not that much better. Chain link jingles.
Mm-hmm.
Link, link.
More like a bag full of change.
The weirdest
Just a
drum
walking
shaker.
maraca.
I have actually heard chainmail, so you know I know what it
Right.
sounds like.
Says
Anywho,
the
you got Farida and Darvin saying, "Okay, we're gonna make a start on errands and that kind of thing." Feels better. Feels like we should start pretty much straight away. So we'll meet you in Egref tomorrow morning.
can do.
I don't know if we can assume that there'll necessarily be rooms at the Riddler Stump. So I don't know. That pancake place did breakfast, right?
I
Yes,
think
it
so.
did. Yes, it did. You didn't really look at the breakfast menu, but it did seem to do something interesting breakfast-wise.
I think they did everything, so yeah.
Okay, we'll meet you there. I mean, I'm hoping it will be in the morning, but if it isn't, just meet us out front of it and we'll go from there, I guess.
Okay.
And Darvin heads out to do the teleportation circle things, and we're at around about halfway mark, so we will take a break and when we come back. Errands. And we're back on the road between Hearthhome and Goldendale, with Remy and Barnabas having potentially things to discuss now that there's little to no chance of being eavesdropped on by small children. Of course, you'll have to fill Darwin and Faraday in on this later, but one thing at a time. They have important things to do. Oh, I forgot to ask before we started session. I noticed that I don't know who it is who's beeping, but could we switch off the notifications for Discord? 'Cause I don't think that's me. It doesn't matter. Anyway, yes, sorry. Moving swiftly on. Yeah, because these two said later, so Flitty is currently perched on Barnabas's horns because he's not ready to fly off his pancake yet. That's a lot of food. That was really tasty.
I envy them being able to get that much pancake to body size ratio. They don't make pans big enough for me to do that.
Ponders for a minute
That'd be a
because
sight to see.
well, doesn't entirely understand common, but getting enough of the gist of I bet Agraf does.
Oh, they probably do too.
And of course, Barnabas doesn't understand that. So, but you've got Ava laughing. So, as the only one who speaks Draconic in the group right now, so he just got Ava burst out laughing.
He was saying
Elaborate.
Flitty was saying they probably do an egg ref.
I find that both interesting and kind of terrifying. Cause
Yeah, that sounds about right.
why?
Why
Eggref is
not?
the place that is the essence of surprise me.
And also, the question is, what was it they always say? Science is a question and the answer is always yes. Something like that. So.
Yeah. That too.
I bet they do it with all kinds of stuff. I bet those burger things, I bet they make ones the size of a whole table.
Oh, God. I translate that.
And now that's just showing off right there. That's
Scritch.
You could feed a whole family with one. You could feed a whole town with one. That'd be neat.
That would take a lot of meat, though. And a lot of baking.
I bet they make machines that flip the thing. Bonk. Anyway, I'm being funny, but I think they had stuff they needed to say. Because they went to talk to the Shanaira lady.
Yep.
Again, Draconic, because defaults to Draconic.
And translate.
Yep. That we did. To start with, Rylan, apologies about the apple. Barnabas, you have a better mastery of common than I do. Please, could you start?
well. Basically, Shannara was saying that if we're trying to find, well, first of all, we're trying to find like the epicenter of the black shit on this continent, we should be looking in the mountain and underground. Basically, want to find like if you find where people first ever mentioned seeing it, that's probably going to be the epicenter here. If we're going to blow that up with the holy bomb, and she was saying what was the ancient blue that was probably got a mate running around, or was it, I keep getting the dragons confused.
To
We had a
remind, the blue and the green probably have mates because both the females had offspring. The blue in
Right.
particular because the offspring was quite young. Of course, Barnabas has only heard this through stories, and I'm not sure Ryland's heard any of this at all.
there's
Well,
we had to
Barnabas
deal with
would
a
remember because of the they told about one of the first times asshole archfey dude yoinked them. So probably the white knuckling hilts again.
mm,
yeah, that aforementioned blue that we had to deal with that was causing an interrupt in the mercenaries getting sent here and the supply chain.
Yep.
So that's one more blue on top of that. And now, now we have to think about, in addition to the green that's parked in the Elven Wild,
Of course, yes, because we killed.
another possible green somewhere.
Ah, boy.
there are too many fucking dragons.
Mm,
Amen to
Flitty
that.
just whoop. Still perched on Thorn, just
Barnabas?
Too many ancient, not cute, friendly dragons. Sorry, Flitty. I did not mean you.
well, I mean, there's also the nice chromatics in Equitas, but some of those fall under cute and friendly, or both. But not so much Creabendis. I don't think she's either.
No.
Was that in Draconic or Sylvan?
That was in Draconic.
Okay, so I have no idea the mention of the one that, like, both.
Well, to be fair, Creabendis is a proper name. So it comes
Oh,
out
God.
squeaky
Yeah,
peepee, but that's the only bits you actually hear and understand.
yeah.
As
But
soon
this
as
does count as terrifying if we're talking about scary dragons. Mind you, Clarity demonstrated some pretty surprising bravery as regards to that.
That's because she didn't see the this one time it is Sylvan. That's because she didn't see the Creabendis lady turn into a big brass dragon and roar at her. That was the Singy Man. And you,
Ye-
but mostly the Singy Man, because he did the pushy shovey right in her throne room.
Yep. I'm
Yeah,
willing to
that would have been
to
different.
match. Yeah, I'm gonna match paces with Clarity. Smooch on the cheek.
Also, we know from the Alizé lady that she respects a good. This probably sounds very strange in Sylvan because it refers to pack lead female wolves, but is technically alpha bitches. It probably takes Hazel a minute to try and parse that to alpha bitches, and I'm not sure that Ryland gets it at all.
Absolutely not.
It's like, why is she talking? Why is he talking about wolves now?
How did
Oh,
wolves factor
alpha
into this
bitch.
count?
Right.
And Hazel has just.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Like mix of confusion, but wants to break down laughing at how the scene then was.
This is just like when the other elfie man got tit nibbler explained to him.
Was that
Nope,
draconic?
not happening.
That was Sylvan, and it translates even weirder into Sylvan.
Yeah, that one.
Nope.
Other elf had to have the terminology tit nibbler explained to him. Would you like an explanation too?
No.
I'm with Riley.
Boy.
I'm 100% with Riley.
Not even for the list. Just no.
The Alisay lady has a very colorful vocabulary.
Yes. Yes, she does.
I think there was Twitwaffle once.
I've heard that one.
So, was it just the thing about the dragons and the where the bomb goes, or was there other things?
There was one more thing about how to make this stop more permanently. To quote what Shinaira said, we're probably going to have to take on Bahamut's role in this whole thing. And shove the five-headed pain in our asses back through the same hole she's trying to come out of. Or rather, back in through the same way she was punched in.
That
Legends, right?
How
And
are we
anyway,
supposed to do that though?
that is a tall order. We'll find a way,
Like it took
obviously.
everything. From what I understand, it was hard enough for Bahamut to do it.
well, that's the thing. Bahamut put her through our material plane, and the hole is kind of still there. The Shattered Lands, that whole place. That's supposedly what happened when God hits another god so hard they go through our universe.
Oh gods, it occurs to me that neither Rylan nor Barnabas will have ever heard anything about the Shattered Lands. Clarity has heard of them largely through Alice A stories, and that only vaguely, but mostly because she reads a lot. Ava probably didn't have that much cause to study the Shattered Lands, and Remy's picked up some old stories, so she's probably more clued in than most. But for Barnabas in particular, who comes from a plane where the gods just aren't, the idea of a god slamming another god through a continent and into another plane is just, wait, what?
It was harder for Bahamut because the hole wasn't there before. So we might have our work cut out for us, relatively speaking. But it also might be easier for her because there's a hole there.
In short, the way to make this consistently stop is to plug up the source on this continent, at the very least, and then punt the five-headed mess back into the timeout corner.
I mean, I'm all for that, but we've faced dragons, and that's been tough enough. This is a goal.
We have our plan of action to start with, so let's focus on the Anbir thing.
One thing at a time.
And
I
you
think-
said you had.
I think the
You
bull
said
man
you
is
want to talk
confused.
to.
No, this in Sylvan. But before we move on, I think the bull man's confused.
Barnabas.
So, okay. You mean to tell me that the Shadowlands was literally caused by one god punching another god through the material plane into somewhere else?
Yeah,
Basically.
the story says something to it
The
says
hells,
about
specifically.
how
Oh,
she
I'm.
wound up in the nine hells.
Oh, I miss home where there ain't any gods to do this kind of shit. It's
Oh
at least
yeah, we don't have one hell, we have 9 of them.
doesn't matter. Hell's hell, isn't it?
No.
Eh,
If Tiamat's getting out, what's happening to Asmodeus?
maybe she punched him?
Into what, a deeper layer of hell?
Or there were bargains. I don't know.
Either we. For all he's the. For all the. For all that the jailer is the jailer, he's also a bargainer. To say nothing of the fact that there's also the one who warps flesh and that on. Yeah. Remember the flash wall? Because I remember the flash wall.
And Flitty sort of soars onto Remy's shoulder and hops up and down. Also, we also probably need to do something about the sword. Because I think that it wasn't working too good. When the dragon's already icked.
Sylvan or Draconic?
Sylvan, because counting on Hazel to translate at this point.
Remy looks expectantly to Hazel.
Translating and going, yeah, because wasn't your sword when you were hitting him, it wasn't causing them to just kind of explode at point of contact?
No, I imagine they don't have dragon magic once they're like that.
Yeah, they probably turned something else.
Either it needs to wake up more, or we're going to need to make a whole other one.
We'll have to ask Jenna.
Mm-hmm.
And in Sylvan for Hazel. Do you think that the Jenna lady could make me armor?
That we can definitely ask about.
Okay, because
But
I think it's starting to get real dangerous, and I'm usually okay in the bag, but I like to be helpful.
yeah, you have a point there.
We'll be asking about tiny armor for Flitty.
Bounces back onto Barnabas's horns and does the budgie tippy tap. There's been a moderately long conversation with lots of walking in it, and eventually you do get to Goldendale proper, and the Golden Bough is pretty close to being rebuilt, actually.
Remy grabs the box before they depart, so that when they go to Langerhan.
I kind of assumed that, although that does mean you've been carrying around a bag full of ick. Yay. You should also be asking if Barnabas still has that coin.
Yes, definitely make sure he has that
Okay.
Oh,
when they depart.
So
Just
that
making
puts
sure.
you two on the Baron talking. Who else wants to be on Team Baron?
Well, if we might be performing a cleansing ritual, we're going to need you, Hazel.
Possibly. We also do still.
Couldn't
Like,
we
we're gonna need to
all
stop at.
couldn't we all just talk to Mommy Lady and ask
Yep.
instead of necessarily splitting up?
Yeah. Let's just go talk to Lyra first. It's Flynn's got a point.
And the multi-faith shrine is fairly close to the being rebuilt tavern, and as you enter, actually find Eston tidying up. Don't know if I think you've all met Eston more or less, but
Yeah.
grumpy older individual just going, "Oh, you're back."
We are.
Slightly smaller party this time.
Yeah, if you went on ahead.
I'm going to take it you want to talk to Lyra.
That we do.
There's fewer of you now. You can all fit. She's currently taking breakfast with Jenna.
Thank you. Also, thank you for all the other assistance.
We are united in faith. Not necessarily always in the same God, but we are united in faith. In that sort of, yeah, fine, I'm vaguely fond of you, but I'm not going to fucking admit it at this point.
I'm just going to take that in the way it was meant and proceed to towards Jenna's.
Well, no, they're in the kitchen
Oh, they're in
of
the
the shrine.
back.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah, that's if they're in the yeah. And proceed toward to Jenna and Lyra. Knock
Yeah.
knock.
Oh, and Jenna looks up. Well, that doesn't look like triumphant return from Jenna, who is eating a sort of a breakfast biscuity kind of thing, much like the breakfast sandwich things that you got in that train station in Egref. In point of fact, apparently Lyra can make those.
They're gonna
Not
briefly eye the breakfast sandwich and just kind of shrug.
Oh, Barnabas hasn't seen those. It's basically the equivalent of an egg McMuffin.
Nice.
You got Jenna takes one look at Barnabas and nudges the plate. On the left is sausage, on the right is bacon. Help yourself.
Thank you.
So
He grabs one of the bacon ones.
definitely victory, but not the best kind.
Does somebody who remembers how to speak common want to weigh in here?
I'm just gonna point to Barnabas and Remy and then Clarity. One of you, please help.
We killed the dragon, but he came back because of the corruption and flew north. The bomb worked very well,
That was
but
completely.
that part went off without a hitch. But
No pun
the
intended.
mercenaries took pretty bad losses fighting against his forces. But I'd say we took the castle, but there's nothing left, which is for the best.
All right. Well, that's something. But it doesn't sound like that's the end of it.
Not with him, not with what's left of a dragon still flying around.
And at which point you got Lyra going, I take it that's not the first time a dragon you've killed has come back.
Twice now.
Second verse worse than the first.
Mm-hmm.
And Scale Splitter isn't scale splitting.
Oh,
At least not the corrupted forms.
So they've gone beyond. So they've gone beyond chromatic dragons.
Seems to be that.
Now I know you've bonded to that thing. Means you can't be too far away from it before it puffs back into whatever little pocket you've got it in.
Mm.
Right, I can have a look, but not entirely sure what I can do.
No, I can ask you this time. Have a look and give it some thought.
Well, it's probably going to need to be in the workshop, just so I can have a proper look. I know you're not going into the back. You can stay 15 feet from me. But Lyra's just having taught Hazel and spoken to Hazel so very, very often. I'm taking it that you all are here telling us about the bomb and how it worked on the grounds that you're probably going to need at least one other one.
Mm.
That would be
Need more
correct.
than one.
And I assume that you're getting the individual we need for this. That's where some of you have gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're Faraday and Darwin went on a retrieval run. Outside of that, Flitty made a very good point on our way here. Flitty, would you like to
Jenna
be the one
doesn't
to say it?
speak.
What would you like?
Jenna doesn't speak any of my languages.
Got it. So what Flitty mentioned was that things are getting more and more dangerous, and Flitty still would like to be able to help, and believes that some kind of armor for them would be helpful, if that's possible.
And Lyra's like, first of all, Flitty is a him. You know this. You said them. Lots of people have been saying them lately. So I figured I would flag it up for anybody who was not entirely clear, which I know Flitty is a cutesy girly name, but
Yeah,
he is Flitty.
Yeah, he made a point.
Jenna is just... Flitty looks a little affronted. No. I'm picturing it in my head. It can be done. It's just hysterical. Okay, then. I think.
I'm just translating at this point.
Yeah. I get the gist from the expression. It's fine. No, it's adorable, and I can do it. Not entirely sure what I'm going to be doing about the wings, but I can manage something, I think. But then there's a question of who's going to help buckle them into it.
We can definitely be of assistance in that regard.
Yeah, Jenna just watched just burst out laughing again. And Lyra's like, well, if we're going to be expected to spend more time picking up old friends at Hearthhome, we'll have to see how things go with all of that. That poor man, he just wanted to set up a tavern. And he did. And it's a very nice tavern. And I understand that he's immortalized my little friends. Incidentally, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, yeah, Barnabas, you currently have Flitty on one horn, and on the other horn, sort of wound around it, sort of Python style, is what appears to be a rope, right until the face kind of leans and into your general direction, and
Barnabas is holding very, very, very still.
that's all right. That's just Sheepshank. That is a rope dragon.
Oh, right.
Is that a positive noise in regards to that, or
Well, he's actually coming out and socializing
and interacting instead of reacting to anyone reaching into a cupboard?
and attempting to bite noses? Yes. Sheepshank is one of my rescues. All of my fairy dragons and my rope dragon are rescues. They were pets. They were treated less than pleasantly, so I have taken them in.
Hello, Sheepshank. Barnabas hesitantly goes to like give a pat and see what he does.
So looks quizzically at the hand, pat pat. Then kind of looks at anything that might remain of the of the breakfast muffin. Lean.
Barnabas hands what's left over since this is like a very Hobbit third breakfast.
It just looks at it, sniff, 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 sniff. Gently pulls the bacon out of it. It does that, gloomp, 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 the bacon.
It's like a high-speed snake swallow.
Yeah, well, rope dragon.
I'd offer you some too, Flitty, but I'm pretty sure you'd explode after all those pancakes.
It was just one pancake. It was just a very big pancake.
Was he defending the size of the pancake?
He was he was defending the number of pancakes.
Again, I'm envious, Flitty. You got to eat something a significant fraction of your own body weight in pancake. That's living the dream right there.
You should go to if you're spending any time in Egref at any point, you should go to Lilliput's.
Lilliput. What do they specialize in? Crazy amounts of crazy sized food or something?
Yes. If you want a pancake that you could use as a blanket, that's where you go.
Why am I not surprised?
They have Egref has two settings. Things that are ridiculous spread, and I mean ridiculous in every direction. Huge, weird, esoteric, as in make good choices. And things that you can eat with one hand. So when they say anything in the space of large or ridiculous, they mean it.
It's the kind of place where you can get an ice cream sundae the size of a garden shed.
Oh,
That look.
Oh.
I think you convinced him.
I both do want, and my digestive system is going, no, Barnabas, no.
Well, you do share. It's basically they bring a very 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 large plate, and everybody helps themselves.
Thank you for the direction. That's now on the short list.
I'm gonna say
Jenna,
I at least
thank
have to
you
go there
for the
before I
armor
die.
thing. And with that sort of, Lyra steps over to where Remy is sitting, hand on shoulder. It's going to be all right.
thank
That's
you.
all she says. I'm not saying it's not going to be difficult, but it's going to be all right.
Difficult I can manage.
Insight check. I want to see just how much Remy's holding back on that one.
If Remy wants to make a deception check on that one, that's up to Remy.
So,
She means it, apparently.
yeah, she's not. She's putting on a brave face, but she's also not
Freaking out.
terrified. Yeah, she's not freaking out. She just has a reasonable amount of worry, but not just Alice can handle herself.
And Jenna is, well, this is all very touching. You're going to want me to look at that sword.
Yes.
You clearly have
please.
other places to be. And I need to take some measurements. Flitty is just...
Jenna, I had noticed in my last battle that Ash was doing some new things, and I mean, I haven't had a chance to sit with it, but I thought maybe you would know better about what was going on with it, if it was doing fun things that I mean, it was doing cool things. I just don't know what to expect from it.
Do you want to tell me what the cool things were, or have we run out of common words again?
No, it's just okay. So I could hit better. Hard to explain. It was it felt like I had a better chance of striking true.
It's probably doing a sort of a self-direction kind of a situation, but nothing wonky about what kind of damage it was doing. Any idea?
No?
That would probably come next. Does it feel like it would do that now? At this precise second, no, it's something that has to be activated.
No. Feels
normal?
Yeah.
Well, in which case, that's probably one of those things that you're going to have to use when the time is right. So, loosely translated, and I'll add this to your character sheet at some point.
Okay.
If you want it, basically, if you activate it using a bonus action, you will hit with advantage for basically for the remainder of combat.
Ooh.
Next, it'll probably also start doing something wonky about damage. It normally does.
Oh. And that's once a day?
Probably, usually is. It's either once or 3 times. It goes in 1s and 3s.
Okay.
It's because she's only going by what she's heard. If you're making the notes yourself, it starts with 1.
Okay.
Next level of good morning is probably going to be 3 with some added extras, but for the time being, you've actually been using it. It's doing something.
Great.
Right. I need to look at a thing. I need to do measurements. And oh, you're carrying one of those Egreffian monstrosity weapons. What happened to your bow?
It got lost in the fight against China.
Oh. So are you looking for another one? Or do you want something done with the arrowheads I made you? Because I don't do bows.
No, I know.
But Lanark does.
Mm-hmm.
Just he doesn't do sparklies, Nothing too unique. Although don't say that to your original bard, because the viol he got from him was he's got so much noise, so he thinks it's sparkly enough.
Well, bullets would be a good idea, but I'd hate to add more work to your plate.
Well, you're gonna be coming back through here. It's a matter of melting down and seeing what I've got for black powder. Might need a couple of your regular bullets for that, but shouldn't take much. Whole point of me being what I am is that if it's relatively simple, I can do it relatively fast. And when the forge is with me, it's with me, and I'm with it.
Well, okay, and if you
Hand them
should
over.
find.
I'll have to. Those things are usually iffy about specialty armor, so we'll have to see. And this might have the same problem as Scale Splitter does, so it's just as well I start working on them now.
Very good point.
Trust in the steel singer, trust in the forge.
Exactly, thank you. Lyra is just, come on, Sheepshank, they have to go. Winds around her arm, and leans in a Rylanish direction. Snoof, snoof. Snoof, snoof. Apparently this is saying hello or something? You're not really sure.
Hello to you too, I think.
Oh, and there's jerky in the pantry. Come on. I need to get this done before I start worrying about fiddly trigger bits. Off she goes.
We should also.
Yeah, she's assuming you're following. If you're not, that's your fucking problem.
Yeah, if she's heading out, then definitely following.
Yep. Yeah. In Jenna's little forge workshop, the first thing she does is takes the arrows off Ava so she doesn't forget, takes some measurements on Flitty, and then says, "All right, out with the sword."
Remy will produce the sword and hand it to her.
Right. Give me a few minutes. I will not go further than 15 feet into workshop with arrows and sword and slam. I'm
Hey,
getting
Riley,
armor.
you're about to hear something interesting.
Oh, that's only when she's digging through for leftover bits of. I mean, to be fair, Clarity knows that better than most. The interesting noises is only when she's looking for existing weapons and armor. So she's gonna be real disappointed when the noises don't happen. Yeah, because you wait till you hear this and nothing.
Crap. Wait, does that only happen when she... Damn it. Have I by now
Yeah, you've
probably
processed it. Yeah.
Never mind, Rylan. That's when she's digging through the stuff that's already here.
Yeah, what Clarity knows, because I never talked about what Clarity saw in her brief tour of Jenna's workshop, because she was the one who managed to wheedle her way into it. There is an average footlocker in the corner of her workshop. It doesn't look near big enough for her to store half the shit that's in there. It's like a cross between a bag of holding and a TARDIS. She actually shoved some things aside and kind of went into it at one point and came out with a aha! You still don't know how the fuck that works, but you got and when you're talking about this, Clarity's got that expression.
Insight check.
If Clarity's
Not hiding anything.
no, she's seen some, because you can't tell specific details. She's seen something about how the digging out happens, and she's trying to figure out something about it. That's pretty obvious.
You've got an idea, don't you?
Gave me a tour. Might be bigger. Bigger on the inside? No. What?
You mean like
How
a
would
bag
the
of holding?
spatial mechanics? I don't.
Well, it can't be like a bag of holding because you can't have people in a bag of holding. They'd
Yeah.
suffocate.
She had a footlocker. She crawled in it. Things came out. Things were put in. It's not big enough. I'll have to investigate.
And from the workshop, you're not investigating my footlocker, so forget it. She should not have heard. She should not have been able to hear that, but she heard that. This is her domain.
Trust
I
in the
was-
Steel Singer, trust in the Forge. That's pretty much what we've got going on in here.
Maybe you can just ask her how it works.
No, she
Well,
can't.
No, I was trying to look up some things in a book somewhere and try to figure it out myself.
Click eep. No.
It was worth a shot.
A couple of minutes after that, well, Hazel is trying to cheer Clarity out of her minor sulk. There is a noise. It's not a particularly loud or clattering noise. It's this kind of high-pitched crystal ring. And awful lot of light is coming from the cracks under and around that door.
I'm just muttering, trust the Steel Singer, trust the Forge, trust the Steel Singer, trust the Forge.
And comes back out holding the sword. I can't guarantee anything, but it's still a good sword no matter what. I'm hoping that what I've done will give the same elemental pain to something that's been corrupted. And I'll tell you one thing, if you're lucky you brought that sample of music box to me, or I wouldn't have had anything to work with to try to work around the problem. Hands the sword back. I've done the same thing with the arrowheads. Again, I can't really promise anything, but if you leave me a few of your regular bullets, I'll melt these down and see what I can do. Just pop by on your way back and I should have fairy dragon armor by then.
Thank you so much.
Quite alright. You've got other things to do, so shoo.
And we're getting clear.
Yep, okay. And out and onward, I'm assuming, to the Langerhans Manor.
Mm-hmm.
Very much Manorward.
Yep, and as you head in that, it's sort of to the edge of the of the city town, and out a little ways, and you reach the small patch of land that it's on, and you've got a couple of mercenaries pointing crossbows at you because they are guarding this place.
Whoa!
State your business,
Cupcake
and then
Coterie.
they look at Remy. Oh, and they look at Barnabas. I thought you were with the Howlers. What the fuck?
Things have happened.
Yeah, that's called life. Things happen. If things stop happening. No, even when you're dead, things don't stop happening because either worms and things eat you or you get driven around by necromancers or some shit.
I decided that adventuring suited me a little bit better than the life in the mercenary company, so I took my leave.
That is so weird. You're one of the only people who actually didn't have a problem taking orders, but okay. No, it's fine. It's just you never know with people, right?
That ain't
But
that the truth.
but still state your business because this is our job now.
We would like to speak to the Baron.
Yeah, that's your wishes. What's your business? Have you forgotten how to answer this question, Crestwind?
I am a little bit out of practice.
This is what,
We
and a
need,
big point at Barnabas, this is what the adventuring life does to you.
we need to tell him about the battle at Black Crown and what we found there.
Oh, yeah, I think somebody's going to want more than what little message we were able to get out of there, because about 2/3 of us haven't really heard much of anything from. Anyway, yeah, okay. I mean, I'm taking it was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we had some friends out there, and we kind of like to know how drunk we need to get. How drunk do we
Victory was
need to get?
achieved.
Yeah, you probably should
Drunk.
pour out
Cost.
about a bottle just to be safe.
Basically,
Sorry.
we want to get smashed because winning,
Yeah.
great. But consider this is us with Ever heard of a little thing called survivor's guilt, young lady? They're looking at Hazel at this point.
Uh,
We're gonna want to get smashed.
She's basically I've got this look that says, "Yeah, no, I get it. I just don't have just that
Yeah.
expression that reads, I don't have the words."
Yeah, you're gonna want to get smashed for sure. Unfortunately.
Well, not while we're on duty, but good to know for later in the evening. On you go. And go back to their guardways. You get challenged a little bit actually at the door, but they recognize Barnabas a little faster by that point, and
I give Hazel a squeeze on the shoulder. Don't mind them, they don't know what you've been through.
and eventually you get led into the presence of fairly harried-looking Baron Langerhan, who's there's a couple of people who are probably some kind of messenger, and an awful lot of paper, and the throne room is now no longer throne room, it's just a big office, and it has to be that big because it's bits of paper and all the sorts of things that he wasn't really allowed to be handling because of the Coriville bullshit. Clearly hasn't got a seneschal yet, so he's having to handle this whole thing on his own. Seems to be managing, but it's left him looking a little harried. Looks up and is going, and looks at the people he'd been apparently getting reports from. Could you leave us, please? I promise anything that you need to know from them, I will tell you when I ask you to return, but I need a word with these people. And they just head out, giving Remy and Barnabas nods a bit as they pass. And so I take it you probably have a more comprehensive report than apparently it looked like a route until the castle blew up. Well, the castle collapsed after a dragon smashed through it, and then it blew up.
Yes, we were there. Very much there.
Well, yes, that was the plan. If memory serves, the mercenaries were meant to be a distraction so that you could get things done, but we didn't count on the dragon spitting taint.
No, we didn't.
Well, we didn't. I wouldn't know whether you did. But now I've got the answer to that question. I wouldn't have thought that you'd have deliberately set that on your own former colleagues.
We killed him. He just got back up and flew out before we could do anything to stop him.
Oh, fantastic. You have company.
But he can't use Black Crown as a platform from which to terrorize the rest of the country anymore. Because there's nothing left.
And I suppose that means there is no longer Errand the Third.
No, just a corrupted monster.
Of
More
course,
so than he was before.
it's Hazel and Ava predominantly who are the ones who would more immediately click on to, that means you're the king, sir. Or sire, more to the point.
That
Actually makes
that
you
would make you the king, wouldn't it, sir?
Yes, it would. I mean, I have the claim. I never entirely thought I'd see it in my lifetime, and apparently there's nothing at what used to be Iron Crown to,
That
We
actually,
have
Barnabas, the coin.
we have 2 pieces of that.
Barnabas pulls the coin out and hands it to him.
Yeah, well, the one thing you'll notice is that it's almost entirely gone from iron to gold. When it hits Baron Langerhand's hand, it is at that point completely gold with crossed wheat sheaves on both sides. I thought this was a myth.
What exactly is it?
It's the heart of Baronsphere.
The heart of hearts. For here, at least.
As I say, I thought it was a myth.
Oh, the thing is, we have the other art, but it's been corrupted. It needs to be cleansed, but it's more likely than not that will destroy it.
Well, first of all, I know it's... If I'm right, this shouldn't be a problem. Can you show it to me?
Yes, but probably safe for you to keep back a few feet.
The gestures at the fairly large paper-covered desk between you two.
She will set down the box and open it up.
Well, that's the thing. If you reach into the bag you've been keeping the leaking box in, when you pull out the bag, it's actually... thankfully, your bag is fairly watertight, or ooze tight, because it doesn't feel like there's a box in there anymore.
Remy does a double take.
And if you look inside, it's it doesn't even necessarily look that much like the black shit. It looks like regular tar. It doesn't have the same smell to it.
That's interesting.
Did destroying the
Hazel?
place do something?
Yeah, and Hazel, give me a religion check with advantage. I'll let you have this as a dealing with... I mean, Clarity can do not with advantage, but Arcana.
33.
Yeah. I mean, Hazel is going. Could killing it have done something? And Remy is like, okay, that was an awful lot of radiant energy. That was destroyed a place that was pretty much entirely tainted. But that wasn't the heart of hearts anymore. And what you saw of Black Crown didn't have enough people living in it to really have a heart of its own. Not by then. Anyone who would have maintained a heart had left by that point. It was just a soulless seat. So, Iron Crown, as it was, just no longer exists. It's, at best, it's a part of, probably Gray's Inn is probably the closest of them, but effectively, from everything you've studied, which is putting a whole bunch of stuff that you've read over the years together, the only thing that was keeping Black Crown halfway viable as a barony was the black shit and desperation. And desperation's not enough. So anything that was left of Iron Crown that wasn't destroyed entirely was probably set within that Heart of Hearts and now exists here. Goldendale is now the heart of the barony.
Okay. Well, this is logical conjecture, but so Black Crown, these hearts need people in the barony to maintain it, and Black Crown didn't really have any people left in it to have a heart of its own. So, and all of the people who would have maintained it had left by that point. So effectively, Iron Crown no longer exists. Maybe at best it's part of Gray's Inn, but really the only thing keeping Black Crown viable as a barony was the black sludge and maybe some sort of desperation of keeping it as seat of power. And so Goldendale is, I think, the heart of the barony now.
Huh.
Yes, that would make sense.
Well, as long as I don't have to live in that horrible brick pile I heard about as a main palace, then that's fine.
So what is in the box now? Just
Well, the box the box no longer exists. Now that's the thing, because there's a difference between how a box feels in a bag and like almost a water balloon or putting a bunch of water in a plastic bag. What you've effectively got is what looks like, well, a kind of a tar baby, because everything went with this shit. Not the place where it came from has been completely cleansed because it was a part of the heart. Cleansing that cleansed this, because you haven't looked at that thing since.
Feedback loop.
Yeah, basically everything that made that particular bit of black sludge what it was is gone, so there was nothing to feed into the heart anymore. So it kind of just dissolved into... You're not even really sure what it is. It's yick, but it's not corrupting yick. I think the closest analog I can come to is the dried bits of goo that come off ketchup bottles.
That's what it's resolved down to. So it's just a bag of
Squidge.
black ketchup.
It's squidge, yeah.
Yeah, that is gross, but not existentially gross.
Well then.
Wow.
Somebody write that down.
Don't worry, I'll put it in the highlights reel.
Well, I hope nobody's overly disappointed in the apparently the palace. Wonderful.
Sir, the only right thing to do is, well, I'm just gonna take a knee right there.
Thank you. Um, well, I suppose the first thing I'm going to need to do, because I clearly can't handle the barony and the country, especially if the country is going to be in crisis, I need Constance back. You guys will remember Constance, Clarity, Ava, and Remy and Hazel mostly will remember. Barnabas has vaguely heard this one. Rylan has no the fuck idea who Constance is. But those of you who have met her as Lisa will know that will remember that she is actually currently in Egref, which is where you were planning on going next in the first place.
Well,
So for my kneeling position, just like you could almost see the smoke starting to come out of my ears.
Yeah, and to be fair, Ava is nobility. Sees Hazel do this, and she knows full well that she should be doing this too, because this is her king now.
Yeah, I was thinking to do the same. Well, I'll do this. Seeing Hazel do that, I'll do the same.
And looks when it's talking about Constance. I don't suppose you're heading in the vague direction of Egref, are you?
As a matter of fact, we are.
Well, apparently she's been staying with the with the Baron of Gray's Inn. And they managed to. Who, of course, I also need to speak to. I think there's. And you got you got the writ of ennoblement to Francine. As that's
Yeah.
properly official now, I can send a message downriver because we're going to need at least a conversation about what happens next. One more thing. It's a kind of a delicate matter, and I apologize for bringing it up, but the Crown had been demanding a great deal in the way of taxes. I tried to shield my people however I could, but that wasn't much, as you can imagine, and you know exactly why. Is there any chance that I'm going to be able to return any of that?
No, it went up with the
It was
castle.
in the castle
To be
when the
honest,
device went off.
when we saw the horde, it was probably going to be full of. There was definitely an air of corruption to it, so it probably wouldn't have been safe to use anyway.
That's fair enough. I suppose this is just a very large reset for Baronsveer. And of course, as I understand it, we're going to have to be careful about the Elven Wild from this point on. At least until we hear differently, apparently, from our new heroes of the realm. We'll do something suitably flashy when we're not all scrambling trying to put ourselves back together again. Speaking of, you're missing people.
Oh yes, they had some other.
Several of them went on ahead.
I see. All right. Well, once things are at least a little bit more settled and you have everyone, I should have to make that official. Not that it means much to those of you who do not make your homes in Baronsveer, but appreciation has to be shown somehow.
Thank you, sir.
In any case, I think we both have some things to do. Thank you for agreeing to get some of my my barons back. And I will see you when next I see you. Hopefully the entire group of you. Actually, at least one of you is new. Looks at Rylan.
Speaking of the Elven Wild.
Ah.
Hi. I've hunted these guys down because of exactly the problem that was happening over there. And now I'm just kinda... How do you say, in with the shit?
along for the ride.
No, I'm not. I think they've got the right of it.
And I've heard various tales of you, but we haven't been properly introduced.
Rylan and Jency. And I give like a half bow.
Then looks at Barnabas
Of respect.
as with you.
Barnabas Stumplefink. Pleasure to make your acquaintance.
I won't ask any of the questions. I've heard enough to know enough of the answers. But at the very least, you will have a home in Baronsvere for as long as you need one. Particularly given that you've fallen in with these people, and Twilly and Miranda. Do that.
I certainly do. Thank you.
Do.
So I'm going to need to have a...
Mom and Norma very much do, sir.
I'm going to need to have a chat with them at some point. They tend to be busy with child rearing, but they've also got much more information about the mood of the barony than I generally get, so I may have to see if there's a little bit of quid pro quo that could be done there. And after all, I know that a fair few bits of acreage were sold off for taxes. If we're resetting everything, I certainly wouldn't mind returning some of those for, I don't know, an hour conversation over tea about what the barony and the country might actually need. But we'll discuss that at some later date. You clearly have more important things to be doing. But I'd be grateful if your group could present themselves when things are a little more settled with whatever task you're on at the moment, so that at the very least we can make sure that if you're doing things in Baronsvere and places that know Baronsvere, that you have some indication of the backing that you are going to have from this country.
I'd be happy to get that feelings.
And if you could let the other two gentlemen in when you leave. There's going to be a lot of conversations today, but at least I have more things to tell them. Thank you. And with that, basically goes back to paperwork. Is clearly not going to be one of those I'm expecting you to kiss the ring people. Right now, he just wants to try to fix the fucking country.
So luck, Your Majesty.
Yeah. Going to follow through on leaving the way a certain Derolo suggested. Just back it up. And only turning around once I've left the immediate vicinity.
Yeah, the two individuals who've been talking to was kind of look at Hazel back into their immediate line of sight, like, okay, kind of looks.
I'm just looking at they're getting a look back that's just reading. That's just reading manners? Question mark.
You may re-enter.
I have a question because of the expression on that face. How are we addressing? Because I have a feeling it might not quite be. You were a lot less concerned about manners going in.
Your Majesty would be appropriate.
I hope he's a better storyteller than you people have time to be. They walk in, shut the doors behind them. And on that note, we are actually a little past time, which is nice. We've killed some time, and that means that Antheus and Ethan won't have missed overly much, and that actually means that Ethan can have a moment that he wanted to have with Darwin and Twilly Miranda anyway, because he'd been hanging on to it from the previous session, and I felt kind of bad that he missed it here, but now we don't have to worry about it, so hey.
Right.
So there'll be a little bit of splitting the party in 2 weeks' time, but we can handle that. But in 2 weeks' time, we will eventually get the party all back together. First in Egref, possibly at Lilliput's, and then at Anbir, because that's could be some kind of interesting. See you guys.